Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we're on the third chapter. In the second chapter, we saw how that Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this world is, something that we need to get out of. And the nature of Vaishnavas is those who always keep thinking about how to deliver others, how to help others to come out from this world. And what we need to come out from this world, what we need so that we can actually come out of this material world, is that we need to understand that we are souls, we are not this body. But then Prabhupada said that foolish people think that I've not seen a next life. How do I know there's a next life? But Prabhupada says we have to inquire, learn to ask, learn to realize, you know, that how did I take birth? What am I doing here? What is going to happen to me after death? We should think. And one who actually knows the true nature of ourselves as well as true nature of God, Prabhupada ends that second chapter by saying, Janma karma cha me divyam, quoting the verse that if you understand Krishna, then you can go back home, back to Godhead after leaving this body. Now let's see chapter 3, which is called Learning to Love. Very interesting, learning to love. So love, Krishna Prem, is something in one sense natural, but because we have forgotten, we have to learn it, isn't it? Like walking or running or cycling a bike can be a little natural in one sense if you get onto it. But if you learn it, it makes the process faster. It's possible. So we begin. Contamination from sinful activity requires proportionate atonement. For doing something bad, one is to atone it proportionately. That is the prescription of the scriptures. Sukadeva Goswami says that if one accepts atonement before death, in his next life, he will not fall down, meaning you'll not get a horrible birth. Fall down here means you won't get an animal birth or something, sins because they have not been atoned. If he does not atone, he will carry with him the resultant reactions of his sinful activities and will have to suffer. According to law, modern day law, if a man kills someone, he must be killed. He must himself be killed, what is called as capital punishment. The idea of a life for a life is not a very new concept, but can be found in the Manu Samhita, the Vedic law book for mankind, where it is stated that when a king hangs the murderer is actually benefited. Now, this is very starking statement, because in today's modern world that we live in, although capital punishment was there very much in the bygone ages, just around the turn of the century, many countries have actually abolished capital punishment, thinking it very cruel, thinking it be very extreme. But here is the principle that's giving in the Vedas. If someone is actually guilty, then if they atone for it in this life, they don't have to suffer for it in the next life. For if he is not killed, he will carry the reactions of his murder and will have to suffer in so many ways. To, suffer more lives, more horrible species, and so on and so forth. So very interesting. I was just thinking about this capital punishment thing. So I put up a few statistics like you can see here. So it is mentioned that, many countries have actually quit doing execution. So in 2019, they say that, 86% of the executions happen in a few countries. 142 countries have abolished death penalty, right? Many have stopped doing it. And we look at another scene. These are the countries which still practice death penalty. So the world around is stopped doing is actually moving away from capital punishment because the thinking is that this is one life. This is just one life. Spare the person, spare the wrongdoer, spare the criminal. Because if, in one life he's hanged or he's killed, or in what way, then he will lose that life. But the Vedic point of view is that this body is not important. It's just a temporary shell, a mistake we have done. We still have life after life. So in fact, if a person atones in this life, next life actually gets a better life. So it's a little hard to digest, but there's a lot of difference. So as the world now is moving towards a little less dharmic, more little atheistic, perhaps, so-called humanitarian spirit is coming, but they're not punishing the criminals. This could actually be a bigger punishment if one thinks about it for that person, because you have to go through so many lifetimes of suffering. Of course, nowadays also people are worried that the judiciary system is not very good, so there'll be false accusations, false convictions. So for these various reasons, they are abolishing the death penalty. Anyways, we're just discussing the principle We are not here to make any laws or any judgments. The laws of nature are very subtle and are very diligently administered, although people do not know it. In the Manu Samhita, the concept of a life for life is sanctioned and it's actually observed throughout the world. Similarly, there are other laws which state that one cannot even kill an ant without being responsible. So this is the level of responsible living that the Shastras demand. Since we cannot create, we have no right to kill. It's a beautiful statement. We do not create, we have no right to take away, kill any living entity. And therefore, man-made laws that distinguish between killing a man and killing an animal are imperfect. So here Prabhupada says that laws which say that you cannot kill humans, but you can go around slaughtering animals, this we consider wrong as well, because life is sacred, all kinds of life. Although there are imperfections in man-made laws, they cannot be defect in the laws of God. According to the laws of God, killing an animal is as punishable as killing a man. So on one side, you have the Vedas saying capital punishment. On the other side, the Vedas are so broad-minded, they are saying even if it's an animal, an innocent animal, capital punishment, in one sense. Animal rights on one side, you may feel that it's human, looking down on human rights, but so much on animal rights as well. Those who draw distinctions between the two are concocting their own laws. So when Prabhupada quotes the Bible, even in the 10 commandments, it is prescribed, thou shalt not kill. This is a perfect law, but by discriminating and speculating, men distort it. I shall not kill man, but I shall kill animals. Like now the various versions that come out, instead of thou shall not kill, thou shall not murder, right? Thou shall not kill men. So like this, they are like changing the rules, or in one sense. In this way, people cheat themselves and inflict suffering on themselves and others. How are they inflicting suffering on themselves? By doing sin. In any case, however, God's laws will not excuse such a behavior. They say that the modern judiciary system may be blind, but God's laws are perfect. A murderer may have so-called unsolved crimes are there, where someone commit a murder but is never caught. Someone commit a crime but is never caught. But actually, that is only worse for the criminal because they have to suffer even more, because the eyes of God or the eyes of the laws of nature are not blind. Everyone is God's creature, although in different bodies or dress. God is considered the one supreme father. A father may have many children, and some may be intelligent, and others not very intelligent. But if an intelligent son tells his father, my brother is not very intelligent, let me kill him, will the father agree? So humans are like intelligent, animals are not very intelligent. Simply because one son is not very intelligent and the other desires to kill him to avoid the burden, the father will never agree. Similarly, if God is a supreme father, why should he sanction the killing of animals who are also his sons? This is the bigger, broader vision. So this kind of knowledge is there only in the Vedic scriptures, where God also does not sanction the murder or the killing of animals, because they are also his creations. They are souls who have been passing through their own punishments in different kinds of bodies. In Bhagavad Gita, God declares to Arjuna that I am their seed-giving father. This is a shloka in the 14th chapter, 4th verse, 14.4. Sarva yonisu kaunteya murteya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapitaha. Lord says that I am the seed-giving father, right, of all living beings. The Lord says, just as in ordinary material procreation, the father gives the seed and the mother develops the body by supplying the necessary blood to the embryo. Similarly, the living entities, parts and parcels of the Supreme Father are impregnated by the Lord in material nature. The dimension of the spirit soul is very minute and is given in the scriptures as Kesha Gra, 1/10,000 the portion of the tip of the hair. Okay, so I just want to discuss this for a bit. This is a shloka that comes in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. So you can see on the screen, two different verses. Sometimes it's Keshagra Shatabhagasya. Sometimes it is Balagra Shatabhagasya. Different scriptures, just different word. Kesha and Bala means the same thing, hair. So if you take the tip of a hair, you cut it into 100 parts, and then each part again you cut it into 100 parts, 1 in 10,000. He said that is the size of the jiva. Okay. But factually, acharyas have given commentary that this is just a description to satisfy the empirical philosophers who keep asking the question to the Vedas: what is the soul? What is the soul? Where is the soul? What is the size of the soul? And the Vedas are like, okay, okay, fine. It is small, small. How small? How minute? The soul is in an ant. The soul is in an amoeba. The soul is inside an elephant. How small is the soul? But how powerful it is. So the Vedas says, okay, fine. Take the tip of the hair, cut it into 100 pieces, take it again, cut it into 100 pieces again. That's how small it is. Fine. Are you happy? So it's a figurative thing because the soul is spiritual. You can't measure it with our tools. Right? So it's just an understanding because even in 1/10,000, the tip of the hair, today's electron microscope, you can actually see it. So here Prabhupada goes on to say that we can hardly imagine a very small point divided by thousands of parts. In other words, it is so minute that it cannot be perceived even by the most powerful microscope. But in today's age and in future, microscopes are really powerful. They can go down very minute. So still you may go down and see that 1 in 10,000 is nothing for today's age. So you go in and you say that I still can't see it. You will never see it, even if you go in 1 million, because the soul is spiritual. Thus, the dimension of the spiritual spark is so minute that it is invisible to mundane vision. All of this information is given in the scriptures, but because we do not have proper vision, we cannot see. Although our material eyes cannot perceive the dimension of the soul is nonetheless within the body. And as soon as it departs, it takes another body according to its work, its karma. One should always consider that behind all these activities is a superior superintendence. Okay, the world is not functioning blindly. The living entity works in the material world just as the office worker works at his job. Very nice comparison. And a service record is kept of his performance. The living entity does not know what the opinion of his superior is, but his service record is kept in the office nonetheless. And according to his activities, he is awarded promotion or increment of pay, or sometimes he may be demoted or even fired. So beautiful example. We're all working in a big company like that, and God is a supervisor, he's watching everything. Service sheet is kept, how you're doing, how you're functioning, right? And at the end of 1 year, when they come for evaluation, then we will come to know. 1 year means basically our lifetime. At the end of our lifetime, we'll understand whether we are demoted, promoted, or fired. Similarly, for all our activities, they are witnesses. Therefore, it is said in the scriptures that the living entities are under the superior supervision and that they are rewarded and punished according to their work. So, in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a shloka that mentions there are 12 kinds of witnesses, right? 12 or 13 kinds of witnesses. The air, the demigods, the directions, these are all witnesses to all our activities that we're doing every day. Now we have human bodies, but in the next life, we may not have them. We may have something else, better or lower. The type of body is decided by the living entity's superiors. Generally, the living entity does not know the science of how the spirit soul transmigrates from one body to another. The spirit soul transmigrates even in the duration of one's life as the body changes. Actually, these bodies keep on changing, and actually, we are actually experiencing transmigration. Why? We are living, but the body is constantly changing. So it's like soul moving to different bodies. When the body is first manifest in the womb of the mother, it is very small, just like a pea. And it gradually develops 9 holes, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 1 genital, 1 rectum. And in this way, the body develops. And as long as it needs to develop within the mother's womb, it remains there. When it is sufficiently developed to go outside, it comes out and grows. Growth entails changing of the body. Literally, sometimes if you look at a child photo and now photo, so much difference, but you are the same person. This change cannot be understood because it is imperceivable to the living entity. So sometimes we have experience, that you see a friend after maybe 20, 30 years, and you're looking at the person like, wow, how much you have changed. But you forgot how much we are changing. The kal, the time is imperceptible, how it's overcoming us. Because we see our face every day in the mirror and we think that I'm okay. But when you meet a friend after 20, 30 years and you look at the person, my God, you have aged. And that person says, you have changed so much. He says, no, I have not changed much. But we have. In childhood, we had small bodies which now no longer exist. Therefore, it can be said that we have changed our bodies. That's why we say to each other, look how much you have changed. Right? Similarly, because of the nature of material things, we have to change this body when it ceases to work, when it stops to work. Every material thing deteriorates, and like a broken machine or an old piece of cloth, the body becomes useless after a certain length of time. Although this process of growth is always taking place, the educational system in modern universities, though considered advanced, unfortunately does not deal with this. Actually, there is no education without spiritual knowledge. One can learn to earn bread, eat, sleep, mate without a formal education. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending can be done without even a formal education. Animals are not educated. They are not technicians. They have no university degrees, but they are also eating, sleeping, mating, defending. If the educational system simply teaches us these processes, it does not deserve the name of education. Real education enables us to understand what we are. As long as a man does not develop his consciousness by understanding the truth of self, soul, all his actions will be performed in the mode of ignorance. A human life is meant for victory over the laws of material nature, to conquer, to overcome the laws of material nature. Actually, we are all trying to attain that victory in order to counteract the onslaught of material nature. The ultimate victory is to conquer birth, death, old age, disease. But we have neglected this important point. So everyone is living in this world trying to conquer, trying to be successful, trying to be the victor, to get victory over something. But they don't realize that the real victory is for us to never take birth again, never take rebirth again. If the education system dealt with the proper utilization of what God is supplying, it will improve. All the fruits and grains we eat are given by God, who supplies food to all living entities. So God has given us everything, but if we learn to actually value them and utilize them, not exploit them and destroy the resources, we would live much better. Today's world, there's food. They talk about food security. They talk about water crisis. They talk about climate change. This just shows how we have been living abusing Mother Earth. Um, so I preach, I stay in the rural area, most interior rural area in India. And we see that many things in nature are so easily got that if you just be little satisfied, trees give fruits, you get natural grains and fruits and this and that. Naturally, people work the land, things come. You can live a wonderful life. But because of so much artificial living, artificial desires, sinful tendencies, slaughterhouses, animal farms that are being brought up, and so much bloodshed that are pouring over the lands. So even in today's age, you don't find so much natural resources. You don't find those trees which would give you fruits. You're not finding water flowing very nicely nowadays. Rivers are drying up. So all these things are happening because Earth is, hitting back. That we are being so cruel and sinful. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Jiva Jivasya Jivanam. One living entity is food for another. So it's a very real thought. We have to consume a life force to live. We cannot eat wood, stones. Like we cannot live like that. We have to consume some life force. So what is the principle? Animals without hands. Animals are living things. Jiva means living thing. Animals or living things without hands are food for animals with hands, such as ourselves. Animals with no legs are food for animals with four legs. Animals here means living beings. Grass is a living entity. It has no legs, no hands with which it moves. It cannot be moved. Thus, it is eaten by cows and other animals. Such non-moving entities are food for the moving entities or animals. And in this way, the world is in a constant struggle between exploiters and exploited. The weaker is exploited by the stronger, This is nature's law. So therefore, this world, in one sense, is very cruel place. The spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he told, just seeing the nature of this world, he said, this world is not a place for gentlemen. Very cruel, very stringent laws. Traditionally, Vaishnavas or devotees of Krishna do not eat meat. This is not just for the sake of vegetarianism, but for the furtherance of God consciousness. In order to become God conscious, one must follow some rules and regulations. So, because why is this vegetarianism important for God consciousness? Because we cannot be loving God or thinking about God if we are cruel to the creations of God. We cannot even understand God. So therefore, to become God conscious, we have to become merciful. Of course, one has to eat, but the proposal is that one should eat remnants of foodstuffs that are offered to Krishna. So this is again mentioned in 3rd chapter, 13th verse of Bhagavad Gita, 3.13, where Krishna himself says that whatever you eat, offer unto me. Even if you eat something like vegetarian or whatever, cooking for yourself, it is still sinful. This is the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyopaghritam ashnami priyatatmanah. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. It is not that Krishna is hungry or is begging food from us. No, sometimes people think, if you don't offer God food, some people from other religions, they say, oh, if you don't feed your God will die. It's not like that. We are doing it for our own good, so that, we eat prasad, that we don't get caught in karma. The purpose of this offering is to create a loving transaction. Krishna wants this transaction. You love me, I love you. Isn't it? We see nowadays in modern times, so if people want to express their affection for each other, sometimes they say, let me cook you a meal. Will you come over to my house and have a meal? So there's a lot of affection in going out of your way of preparing something from the heart and offering it to someone and they're accepting it. So it's the best way to actually develop love. As God, Krishna's energy creates and sustains everything. Why should he beg a leaf, a fruit, a little water from us? He has everything. He's a master of everything. He'll be very pleased, however, if we offer him a piece of fruit, a leaf and water with love. Saying, Krishna, I am so poor that I cannot secure anything. I cannot get anything. I have somehow gotten this fruit and a leaf. Kindly accept them. Such an offering would make Krishna very glad. If he eats what we offer, our life will be successful, for we will actually make friends with Krishna. So Vedic culture is the culture where the goal is to love God, not only love, to make him our best friend, to actually physically, his name, his face, his address, everything about him. God, he's your best friend. Fruits, flowers, and water can be secured practically in any part of the world by any man, poor or rich, and can be offered. We should remember then that it is not vegetarianism which is important, nor is it that God is in need of anything. The important point is that we simply have to try to learn how to love Krishna. So the act of offering food, what we call as bhoga or naivedya, when we offer to Krishna, is actually a means by which we develop our love. So part of the process of bhakti that we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are following the 4 regular principles, we are studying Srila Prabhupada books. But the practical expression of all that we are hearing and doing and chanting is that we do some exchange with the deities. So cooking for the deities or your deities at home, this daily singing for the Lord and offering something. This is the means. Deity worship is the means by which we develop some affection for Krishna. You're seeing Krishna, you're holding Krishna, you're putting him to sleep, you're feeding him. So this is the means that we develop some affection for God. Love begins with this give and take principle. We give something to our lover, he gives something to us, and in this way, love develops. When we create any loving transaction with any boy or girl, man or woman, we give and take. Thus, Krishna is teaching us how to give and take. Krishna is begging to us, try to love me, learn how to love me, offer me something. Sir, we may say, I have nothing to give you. Talking to Krishna. Oh, you cannot collect a piece of fruit, a flower, a leaf, or a little water? Oh, yes, why not? Anyone can collect this. This then is the method of Krishna consciousness, which allows one to make friends with Krishna. In one verse and purport in Bhagavatam, Brahma comes and he sees the Lord and he shakes hand with the Lord. Prabhupada writes that this, just see, our sampradaya, the goal is now we go back home by Godhead and one can actually shake hands with God. Krishna's our friend. We can enter into any number of relationships with Krishna. So what are the kinds examples? We can become a direct servant of Krishna, Dasya, or the higher stages, we can become Krishna's father, mother, Vatsalya, or lover, Madhurya. Krishna is prepared to establish a loving relationship with all living entities. In actuality, this relationship is already there because he is the Supreme Father and we are his parts and parcels. Like we discussed at the beginning, learning to love. This relationship is actually there. We just need to rekindle it, revive it, remember it. Because the son is part of the body of the father, the relationship between them cannot be broken. It may be forgotten for some time, but as soon as one recognizes his father or son, immediately affection develops. Just like sometimes in the modern world, a child is given for adoption. But just because the child was never raised by that man or woman does not mean that they do not become his parents. Right? They are his biological parents. So tomorrow you do a test and you do DNA test and you found out these are the parents. Oh, it's rekindled, son, I lost you. I had no money. I had to give you for adoption. So just because they are apart does not mean that the relationship is broken. Right? The DNA is still there. So similarly, now we are in the material world and we chose to turn our face away from Krishna. That does not mean that the DNA is not there. The DNA is still there. Right? We have to now rekindle and rework and revive and remember it. Similarly, we are eternally related to Krishna, but at the present moment, this relationship is simply forgotten or suppressed due to our own material desires. Consequently, we think that we have no relationship with Krishna, but this is not a fact. Because we are integral with him, because we are part and parcel of him. Our relationship with him is eternal. That relationship simply has to be revived. And that revival is this process of Krishna consciousness. At present, we are under the sway of different consciousness. One person is thinking that he is Indian, another is thinking that he is American, someone else is thinking I am this, so I am that. In this way, we create so many artificial identities, but our actual identity should be I am Krishna's. Right? When we think in this way, we are thinking in Krishna consciousness. Only in this way can universal love among all living entities be established. Because everyone, every living thing, the grass, the dog, the tree, the man, the woman, the alien, whatever it may be, everyone actually belongs to Krishna. Krishna is related to everyone as the eternal father, and consequently, when we establish a conscious relationship, we become related to everyone. When one marries, he automatically establishes a relationship with the spouse's family. And many cultures, they have this, when they get married, the wife, carries the husband's name, and she and he, they are related, the families become related, in-laws, they call them. So similarly, if we re-establish our original relationship with Krishna, we establish our true relationship with everyone else. Another very powerful name. That is the ground for real universal love. Universal love is artificial and cannot endure unless we establish our relationship with the center. One is American if he is born in America, and thus other Americans become members of his family. But if he is born elsewhere, he has no relationship with Americans. On the mundane platform, all relationships are relative. Our relationship with Krishna, however, is eternal, not subject to time and circumstances. It's not subject to any birth, body, color, creed, caste, gender. We are always eternally connected to Krishna, whereas all other designations are relative. Maybe that's why we call them relatives. They're just relatives. When we re-establish our relationship with Krishna, the question of universal brotherhood, justice, peace, and prosperity will be answered. There is no possibility of realizing these higher ideals without Krishna. If the central point is missing, how can there be brotherhood and peace? In Bhagavad Gita, the peace formula is clearly given. We have to understand that Krishna is the only enjoyer. The consciousness of this is developed in a Krishna conscious temple where the central point of all activities is Krishna. All cooking is carried on for Krishna, not for one's own purposes. Ultimately, we shall eat the prasadam, offered food. But when we cook, we think that we are cooking for Krishna, not for ourselves. So when we're preparing a meal, we are thinking, oh, I actually have to do it because I have to feed the deities. And after offering, we're like, hey, all this is remaining. Okay, I'm also hungry. Let me have it. We don't think about cooking for ourselves. When the members of a temple go onto the streets, they do not do for their own sake, but to distribute Krishna conscious literatures in order to make people aware of Krishna's presence. Book distribution. So devotees go out to preach, to spread Krishna. No one is doing it for their own name and fame, but they're doing it as a service to Krishna. All monies acquired are spent for Krishna in spreading his message in so many ways. Such a lifestyle in which everything is done for Krishna promotes the development of Krishna consciousness within the living entity. Our activities may remain the same. We simply have to understand that we are acting for Krishna and not for our personal satisfaction. In this way, we can come to our original consciousness and be happy. Unless one is established in his original consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, he is certain to be crazy to some degree. We saw in the first chapter. Everyone who is not Krishna consciousness is to be considered crazy because he exists on a platform which is temporary and transient. Since we as living entities are eternal, temporary activities are not our concern. Our engagement should be eternal because we are eternal. And that eternal engagement is rendering service to Krishna in love. Krishna is the supreme eternal and we are subordinate eternals. Krishna is the supreme living entity and we are subordinate living entities. The finger is part and parcel of the total body and its eternal function is to serve the body. Indeed, that is the very purpose of the finger. And if it cannot serve the whole body, it is diseased or useless. Someone has a stroke or someone has a paralysis, then the hand is useless, or sometimes someone has an amputation. So then, there's no purpose now in the finger. Similarly, as part and parcels, we have to serve Krishna and be subordinate to him because as the Supreme Father, he supplies all our necessities. Such a life of subordination to Krishna is a normal life. Sometimes people say you are artificially straining yourself to be a devotee. Actually, this is a normal life to be devoted to Krishna and is a life of actual liberation. Sometimes people say, oh, so much rules you're following. Why be so strict? Just enjoy, be happy. But neither are they actually enjoying or are they happy. Those who try to deny Krishna and live outside of any relationship to him are actually leading a sinful life. Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit discussed this subject, and Parikshit Maharaj was anxious to know how the conditioned souls can be saved from their hellish lives. This is the 6th canto. It is natural desire of a Vaishnava to save suffering humanity. Generally, others do not care whether people suffer or not. But a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, is always thinking how to elevate the fallen conditioned people. Christians believe that through his crucifixion, Lord Jesus Christ assimilated all the sinful activities of the world's people. Okay. A devotee of the Lord is always thinking how to assimilate the sufferings of others. So this is similar to like 2nd chapter, which we saw earlier. How a Vaishnava is always thinking to help others. There, Prabhupada quote Prahlad Maharaj. A similar devotee was Vasudeva Datta, who was Lord Chaitanya's associate. He told the Lord, now that you have come, kindly deliver all people on this earth and take them to Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. And if you think that they are so sinful that they cannot be delivered, please transfer all their sins onto me. I shall suffer for them. This is Vaishnava's mercy. However, it is not that Jesus Christ or Vasudeva Datta should make a contract for our sins and that we should go on committing them. This is the most heinous proposal. So people say sometimes that, Jesus Christ or Vasudeva Datta, they have taken our sins, so let me continue sinning and I will continue sinning and let them suffer for my sins. Not like that. A Vaishnava devotee may suffer for all humanity, but the human race or a particular devotee's disciples should not take advantage of these facilities and continue to commit sins. So here Prabhupada is speaking a little about the guru, devotees, disciples, particular devotees, disciples. So the guru also comes and takes the sins of the disciple to help the disciple move forward in spiritual life. One should rather realize that since Lord Jesus Christ or Vasudeva Datta suffered for him, he should stop committing sins. One should be grateful. Factually, everyone is responsible for his own sinful activities. Therefore, Sukadeva Goswami recommends Tasmat Purevasyu Iha Papa Niskrito. In order to free oneself from all the reactions of sinful activities, as long as one is embodied, he should atone. Papa Niskrito. Yateta mrityo avipadya tadman doshasya drishtva guru lagavam yatha bishak chikitseta rujam nidanavit. According to one's sinful activities, he should accept a program of atonement. Okay. As mentioned before, there are different atonements for different sinful activities. In any case, before death, one should perform atonement so that he does not carry sinful activities into his next life and have to suffer then. If some atonement for our sinful activities is not performed, nature will not excuse us. Sometimes they say that that person got away free-handed. Not like that. Nature will always watches and remembers. We will have to suffer the effects of our sins in the next life. Such bondage to one's material activities is called karma bandhana. Yagyartat karma nonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tat artham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Yagyartat, work only for yagya. Yagya means Vishnu. Work only for Vishnu. Karma anyatra, if you work for anyone else, you lokoyam. If you work for anyone else in this world, karma bandhana, you'll be bound by your actions. Tat artham karma kaunteya, therefore only work for the Lord's pleasure. Mukta sangha samachara, and that way you'll become free from bondage. One may kill an animal to enjoy eating it, but he will be bound by such an action. Thus, in one's next life, he will become a cow or a goat, and the cow or goat will become a man and eat him. This is karma. This is the Vedic statement that, as with all Vedic statements, one may believe it or not. Unfortunately, at present, people are educated in such a way that they do not even believe in the next life. Indeed, it seems to be more educated, pun intended, one becomes the less he believes in God, in God's law, and in the next life, and in sinful and pious activities. It's very common if you go to a lot of universities and big so-called institutes of higher education. People feel that the more you become atheistic or agnostic, that means you're more refined, more polished, more forward-thinking. And the more you believe in religion and God, you're backward, pagan even. Thus, modern education is simply preparing man to become animals. If there is no education to teach a man, a human being, what he is, and whether or not he is this body, he remains no better than an ass. An ass also thinks, I am this body, as do other animals. Thus, if a man also thinks in the same way, that he is this body, how is he different from any other animal? Srimad Bhagavatam states, Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke swadhi kalatrade subhauma ijjade yattirtha buddhesh salile na karhichit janeshu abhigyesu sa eva gokaraha. For one who accepts the body which is made of the three elements, right? Kapha, Vata, Pitta, bile, air, and mucus, these three components in the body. If one thinks that this body, these three components, as his self, who has an affinity for intimate body relationships with his wife and children, he identifies with his wife and children, who considers his land worshipable, because I'm born in this place, therefore this place is great, and who accepts the waters of the holy place of pilgrimage, but does not take advantage of the knowledge of the saintly person. That means they just go to holy place just to bathe in the waters, not to associate with the people living there, is to be considered in illusion and no better than an ass or a cow. Ass works very hard, does not think. Cow, here the example is given because the cow sometimes remains a little attached. For example, sometimes the calf dies and the farmer wants to milk the cow. So the cow will not give milk unless the cow sees its calf, but the calf has died. So what the farmer does, the farmer stuffs the calf and put a stuffed calf beside the cow. And the cow keeps on licking the calf, licking, thinking that my child is here, my child is here. And then in that way it gives milk, right? So this attachment is there so much. According to Ayurveda, the material body is composed of three elements: kapha, pitta, vata, mucus, bile, and air. Within the body is a complex machinery that transforms food into liquid. There's so many complicated bodily processes going on, but do we know of them? We say this is my body, but what do we know about this body? Some people even claim I am God, but they do not even know what is going on within their bodies. Like after eating, do we know that have I digested? Has it transformed? Is it 50%, 30% converted? Is it now absorbing into my bloodstream? We don't know. We have no idea, no control. The body is a bag of stool, urine, blood, and bones. If one believes that intelligence comes out of the stool, urine, blood, and bones, he is a fool. Can we create intelligence by mixing stool, urine, blood, and bones? Nonetheless, people think I am this body. Prabhupada is being so heavy, how foolish we are to actually really consider that we are this body. We are not. This is just a machine, a tool, a vehicle, just to go through life. Therefore, the scriptures say that whoever accepts this body as the self and accepts the body relationships of wife, children, family as his own are illusion. These are all peripheral things which we need, support systems, temporary support systems which we need to get to the goal of life. This body, the relationships we have, mother, father, brother, sister, friends, children, these are all just temporary support systems that we need to get us going. They are helping measures. They cannot be with us forever. Just as much as we are helping them, they are helping us. That is our relationship. It's a contract. We come together, assist each other to go towards Krishna. We can never be with each other forever. All of us have to take different paths in life. We are tossed in an ocean. If you take 5 sticks and throw it in the river, can you promise that these 5 sticks will always stick together? No. They'll be separated. 2 may be joined. 3 may be floating away. 5 may be gone, disappeared. So, like that is our condition in this world. The word kalatra means wife and adi means beginning. Because a man feels alone, he accepts a wife. And immediately there are children and then grandchildren. In this way, there is expansion. Stri means that which expands. Stri is a word for female, for wife. So kalatra adisu means expansions of the self, beginning from the wife. The word bhauma refers to the land of one's birth, which the ignorant consider worshipable, ijhadev. People are willing to give up their lives for the land where they are born, but they do not know that the land, the body, the wife, the children, the country, the society really have nothing to do with them. We are spirit soul, aham brahmasmi. This is the realization of knowledge. And when we come to this point of knowledge, we become happy. So nowadays people are so nationalist, racist, so much thinking that this land is me, but if actually you can be born here, you can be born there. The goal of life is the same. Develop Krishna consciousness and get up. Brahma bhuta prasannatma nasochati na kankshati samat sarveshu bhuteshu matbhaktim labate param. He who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman. Never laments, never desires anything, equally disposed to all living entities, and in that state he achieves pure devotional service unto me. One immediately becomes jolly, prasannatma, when he comes to understand, I am spirit soul, I am Brahman, I am not this matter. Actually, it's very liberating. Why? Because we know we're not bound by borders, by caste, by language, by cultures. We're not bound by anything. The sign of this joy is that one no longer feels hankering and lamentation. Within this world, everyone is subject to lamentation for that which is lost and hankering for that which must be gained. Right? We're always crying over what we have lost and always desiring for what we want to get. But real gain is to understand oneself and to know one's own identity. As long as we maintain the bodily conception of life, we have to abide by the laws of material nature as well as the laws of the state and all other laws. Thus, This body is called conditional because it is subject to different conditions. We are conditioned by this conditional body because it is subject to various conditions. There are varieties of conditions, and regardless of the condition to which we are subjected, we are responsible. If we do not atone for sinful activities committed while in this body, we will have to suffer in the next body because we will get another body according to karma. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajante ante kalevaram. That is nature's law. Whatever you remember at time of death, that you will get without fail. That's what the shloka is saying. Sukadeva Goswami therefore recommends that one undergo atonement according to the gravity of his sinful activities. One must follow the methods of atonement prescribed in the Shastras, otherwise there is no rescue. Parikshit Maharaj, who was very intelligent, said, by atonement one can become free from sinful activity. By doing prayaschita, by atoning, one can become free from sin. But suppose a man has committed murder, then is killed. The sinful reaction of his murder is thus neutralized. But it's not guaranteed that in the next life he will not kill another man. You can settle the sin, but what about the sinning tendency? That's what Parishit Maharaj asks. You can settle the sin, but what about the sinful tendency, the tendency to commit sin? What about that? Thus, Parikshit Maharaj noted that after atoning, people commit the same sins again. If a man is diseased, the physician may give him some medicine and cure him, but it does not guarantee that he will not be attacked by the same disease again. Venereal diseases are often contracted again and again despite cures, and a thief may steal again and again despite being repeatedly thrown into jail. Why is this? Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj noted that although atonement may be good for counteracting sinful activities already committed, it does not prevent those sins from being committed again. Everyone can see that a man who commits murder is punished, but seeing this is not enough to deter one from killing. Still killing goes on. In every scripture and in every law book, man is warned not to kill. Yet no one is concerned with these laws. What is the remedy for this? To remove sinful inclination itself, sinful tendency itself. Drishta sutrabhyam yat papam. By practical experience and hearing from authority, everyone knows what sinful activity. Drishta sutrabhyam. Seeing, hearing, everyone knows what we should not do, but still we want to do it. And no one can say, I do not know what sin is. No one can say that. Everyone knows what is right, what is wrong. What is the value of atonement if one commits the same sin again and again after atoning? Kvachin nivartate bhadrat, kvachin charati tat punah. Prayaschitamato partam manye kunjara sauchavat. This is what Parikshit says. That what is the point of doing good, doing bad, this and that? It is just like the bathing of an elephant, kunjara sauchavat. The elephant goes into the reservoir, into the lake, bathes nicely. Again, he comes out, puts sand on itself again, and dirties itself. When one is being punished, he thinks, oh, what a mistake I have made. I shall never commit this sin anymore. But as soon as he's out of danger, again, he commits the same sin. Habit is a second nature. It is very difficult to break. Shva yadi kritoye raja tat kim nashyanti upanaham. Hitopadesh, they say. There's a saying. No? So Hitopadesh is like Aesop's fables. One may seat a dog on a royal throne, but as soon as he sees the shoe, immediately he will jump down and run after it because he is simply a dog. Nature. The canine qualities are there, they cannot be changed simply by putting the dog on the throne. Similarly, we have acquired material qualities by association with the three modes of material nature, sattva, rajo, guna, tamo. Sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna. And our habits are formed by association with these three qualities, which are the qualities of goodness, passion, ignorance. If, however, we disassociate ourselves from the three modes of material nature, our real spiritual nature is invoked. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. If one is Krishna conscious, there is no chance of his associating with the three modes of material nature. And when one is conscious of Krishna, one's spiritual nature is automatically invoked. That is the secret. Those who seriously follow the process of Krishna consciousness, though previously habituated to many undesirable things, are able to stay on the platform where there is no material contamination simply by virtue of practicing Krishna consciousness. Thus, Krishna consciousness is an excellent medicine. So, Krishna consciousness is that medicine which can remove that sinning tendency or inclination itself. Unless one comes to awareness of Krishna, the habits he forms in association with the three modes of material nature will continue, and he will not be able to change them. If one actually wants freedom from the repetition of birth and death, he must come to Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Mam cha yoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhujaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So Krishna consciousness is that which allows you to transcend the three modes. The Krishna conscious process does not recommend this atonement or that atonement, simply just wiping out sins. One can go on experimenting with atoning, but the disease of the soul will remain unless one comes to the platform of rendering devotional service in love and purifying his life. So Krishna conscious here, loving means to go beyond atonement. We may have done a lot of wrong things in life, that is fine. Krishna conscious is so powerful, it cleans the slate, but we want to go deeper. We want to remove that sinning tendency altogether. That is only possible by rendering devotional service and purifying our life, coming actually to learn to love Krishna. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.